This week on Let's Talk About Mental Health, I'm talking about purpose, how to bring more purpose and meaning into your day-to-day life. So let's get talking. This is Let's Talk About Mental Health, a weekly podcast about mental health and well-being, hosted by Jeremy Godwin. Let's talk about mental health. Because the more we talk about it, the easier it gets. Hello and welcome to episode 20 of Let's Talk About Mental Health, the weekly podcast about improving your mental health and well-being. I'm Jeremy Godwin. Thank you very much for joining me. This week's episode is Let's Talk About Purpose. I'll be talking about what purpose is, why it's a huge part of mental health and well-being, and how to find ways to bring a greater sense of purpose and meaning into your day-to-day life while still paying the bills. So let's talk. Now, before I start today, I just want to let you know that I've been battling a head cold for a few days, so I'm probably going to sound a little bit croaky or nasally. Please bear with me. Alright, purpose. Remember when you were a kid and well-meaning relatives would ask you what you wanted to be when you grew up, as though you were supposed to have it all just figured out and know one thing that you were going to be and just stick to it? I'm 43 and I still have no real idea what I want to be, and that's great. I've worked in retail, telecommunications, insurance, banking, facilities management, and employment services, and now I do this writing and talking stuff for a living. Is this it? Is this my purpose? Who knows? Does it matter either way? No. I don't need to have it all figured out, because I finally realized over the past few years that our sense of purpose and meaning is to be found in our day-to-day actions. There are lots of different ways to define purpose, and for some people, it's tied up in the notions of whether or not there's a grand design in life. But ultimately, it goes to the heart of one of the greatest questions that we each face at some point. Why are we here? What's the meaning of life? When we think about the notion of purpose, it's really about wanting to find some sense of meaning in the midst of all the chaos and confusion that life brings. Whatever your spiritual beliefs and your views on the meaning of life, purpose is what gets us out of bed in the morning. It's what makes us want to keep on going each day, because we can see that we're making some contribution to the world, no matter how small it might be. Sometimes it can be a struggle to find a sense of purpose, and today I'll be talking about different ways that you can approach that. First, though, why is finding purpose so important? Well, it's important because without purpose, we struggle to find meaning in our lives, and that can affect our overall life satisfaction and even our life expectancy. There was a paper in 2010 written by a number of researchers. I'll put the link to the paper in the transcript on the website. And they found that a sense of purpose, a sense of control over your own life, and feeling that what you do is worthwhile leads to a longer life. And it makes perfect sense when you think about it, because if you're aimless and directionless, then you're going to make very different lifestyle choices than if you have a sense of purpose and can see a vision of what you're working towards. What that sense of purpose looks and feels like is going to be specific to you. We all have different things that can serve to create purpose and meaning for us, because we're all unique. The reason why we focus so much on this notion of purpose is because most of us want our life to mean something. And it's part of the human experience to be aware of our own mortality and to want to use our time in some sort of meaningful way, no matter how big or small that might be, depending on your viewpoint. We can't all be world-renowned philosophers or cure cancer. So what do we do with ourselves? How do we find ways to spend our time on this planet that feel meaningful enough to keep us wanting to get out of bed each day and put one foot in front of the other, and not to sink into despair? We often think that everything must happen for a reason because we believe that our existence is out of our control, but it's not. You are in the driver's seat. There's a saying from an unknown author that sums it up perfectly. Life is not the way it's supposed to be. It's the way it is. The way you cope with it is what makes the difference. I think that the biggest step in terms of finding greater purpose and meaning in your life starts with figuring out what it means to you to exist. This is about following your instinct and listening to your intuition, because nobody knows you as well as you know you. We all have our different perspectives on the meaning of life. So I'm going to share mine, and you can decide if that fits in with your core beliefs or not. And if not, that's totally fine. However, do take some time to be completely clear about what your beliefs are. I believe that each of us exists for two reasons. Number one, to learn as much as we can. Because if we learn, we grow, whereas when we stop learning, we stagnate. And number two, to find purpose and meaning in our lives. Now, like I said before, what purpose and meaning look and feel like for you is going to be different than it will for me, and for the next person, and for every single one of us. There are roughly 7.8 billion people on this planet, and every single one of those people has their own unique perspective on what life is all about. So don't think that today I'm going to be handing you a nice and easy formula for finding your purpose, because I'm not. What I am going to do is share some thoughts with you about how to bring more purpose and meaning into everything that you do every single day by tapping into your intuition and by really getting to understand what works for you and what doesn't work for you. I also want to be very clear and say that I firmly believe you do not have just one purpose in life. We live in a culture where we're encouraged to find our purpose and stick to it. But in reality, you can do or be anything or as many things as you want to if you put your mind to it and learn the skills that you need. If your dream is to teach people French, but you can't even speak a word of the language, that doesn't mean that it's not for you. It just means it's going to take hard work and perseverance. I think we get so caught up in the notion of finding our perfect purpose because we want to believe that there's a grand design for us. And maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But either way, nobody knows for sure. What we're really doing is looking for meaning. And I think it's important to know the distinction between the two. I keep on mentioning purpose and meaning in the same sentence because it reinforces the fact that you have direct control over the decisions that you make for your life. In other words, what you choose to do, say, and feel. By aligning your sense of self-determination with a focus on greater purpose and meaning in your life, you will begin to better identify what you want, and, just as importantly, what you don't want. There's a whole industry that has been built up around our ongoing search for purpose and meaning in life. Books, seminars, courses, etc. And a lot of it feeds into our obsession to try to chase giant life goals so that we can all have millions of followers on Instagram and be rich and successful. But that's all bullshit. I think I'm probably getting a little bit off track here and onto a whole different tangent. But my point, well, at least I think I've got a point in here somewhere, is that the self-help industry is great when people act ethically. But telling you that you have one true purpose in life, or that you must find some grand sense of meaning in every single thing that you do and that happens to you in order to be happy, isn't just irresponsible, it's dangerous. I think that chasing after big dreams is a brilliant thing. I mean, I wouldn't be doing what I do now if it wasn't for pursuing my own dreams and passions. But I believe that our focus needs to be on bringing more and more purpose and meaning into our lives every single day. If you've listened to the show before, then you've heard me talk probably 1,000 times by now about taking things one step at a time, one day at a time. And if you can find purpose and meaning in what you do every day, then you will naturally begin to find more joy every day. Because the so-called dream that's been sold to us, the one that says that we have to have a massive house, an expensive car, first-class world travel, a huge bank account, and platinum card status in everything that we do, all of that is a lie. Money can facilitate happiness, but it cannot buy happiness, at least not lasting happiness. I believe that we each have many different purposes, all of which grow and evolve as we grow and evolve. The trick is to figure it out and to keep on figuring it out, because it will continually change as you grow. Often, however, the things that you're drawn to will have something in common. The sense of purpose that I found in my career when I was in my 20s and 30s is very different to what I gain purpose and meaning from now. However, the common thread of what has brought me the most satisfaction has been teaching. When I was in the corporate world, the work that I did for a few years as a trainer was when I was at my happiest. And then even when I went into management, I still enjoyed the teaching aspects that came with coaching my staff, and I also was training future leaders. I used to design and run an emerging leaders program in our Melbourne and Sydney office for a few years, and it was the happiest and most fulfilling part of my job for the time that I ran it. I then chose to follow my ego and moved into management full time, and even though it turned out not to be right for me, I still got a lot out of it. I learned just as much about my sense of purpose through what I didn't like as what I do enjoy, and it taught me skills that help me today when I'm running my own business. There is no shame in trying different things, and even less shame in deciding that they are not for you. A lot of the biggest aha moments in my life have been a product of working out what I didn't want rather than what I did want. If I only focused on the things that I get excited and passionate about, I'd have a pretty narrow focus in life. But by being clear on what I don't like and avoiding that, and then being open to everything else and embracing new experiences, and choosing to say yes more often, I have gone down paths in life that have led me to where I am today, giving me skills and experiences that I never would have developed otherwise. So I think that there are 5 questions that we should all ask ourselves every day, and they are: what do you dislike? Do less of that. What gets you excited? Do more of that. What feels risky to you but makes you excited? Do more of that, way more of that. What makes you feel like you would rather sink to the bottom of the ocean than have to do it ever again? Do less of that, way less of that. And what do you want to be known for? Do much more of that. Whatever your answers are to those 5 questions, it doesn't matter if they're big or small. You don't have to chase the big things in order to find purpose and meaning. I hate to break it to you, but having a 60-foot yacht isn't the be-all and end-all of life. We live in a society where we're sold the idea that meaning must be found in things with monetary value or social status, but that's just not true. It's to be found in the little things. If you find joy and purpose and meaning in coming home from work and spending time with your children or with your animals or pottering around in your garden, then I take my hat off to you because I think that's amazing. My partner loves to garden, and it's fantastic to watch someone be so at peace and find such enjoyment from such a simple activity, and it helps that I get to enjoy the fruit and vegetables that we grow as well. How you find meaning, how you approach your life, is your choice. You have no control over the circumstances that have led you to where you are today, but you do have full control over where you go to from here. As Voltaire said, each player must accept the cards life deals them, but once they are in hand, they alone must decide how to play the cards in order to win the game. Now, at the top of the episode, I talked about the notion of finding purpose and meaning while still paying the bills. So how do you find purpose and meaning while you're paying the bills? Well, paying the bills and doing meaningful work aren't mutually exclusive. You can either choose to reframe how you see your work. For example, I've talked a lot before about the idea of choosing a work to live mindset rather than living to work. Or if your job makes you totally and utterly miserable, then for Pete's sake, go and find a new job. You only ever have 3 choices in any situation. Accept it, change what is within your control, or let it go. I know a lot of people who do their work hours and then leave work and do something that they're truly passionate about, and that enables them to gain more satisfaction in life. Your job does not have to be what you find purpose and meaning in. It can be, and if it is, then that's fantastic. But we also don't have to buy into this idea that it's only by doing something noble or exciting for our paychecks that we can possibly live our purpose. Find what you love, find what you're good at, and do more of that. And if that's doing more of that at work, great. But at least find a way to do more of that stuff that you love and are good at outside of work. Because then your work becomes a way to pay the bills rather than a way to define yourself as a person. You can choose to see work as a means to an end so that you can earn the money that you need to pursue a life outside of work that feels meaningful. And hopefully you'll find that being more satisfied with your home life will lead you to feeling more satisfied with your working life. Now, I do have one caveat on that, which is if you hate your job, and I mean really hate your job or your employer or your industry, then like I said before, make a change. You cannot go on with that negativity in your life because negativity attracts more negativity. And before you know it, you'll feel like you're stuck in quicksand. Don't just think that doing stuff outside of work is going to make things better for you if you find that your work is absolutely sucking the life out of you. Like I said before, find a new job or career or industry or whatever it is that's dissatisfying you, change. Stop wasting your time and your energy in something that is wrong for you. And don't make excuses. You have complete control over what you do or don't do, so nobody can make the change but you. Regardless of what you might be passionate about or what your focus is today, finding purpose and meaning is a choice that we each make, and nobody can make it happen but you. If you get excited about something specific or even just something general, take the first steps to make it happen. As I often say in this podcast, if it doesn't harm anyone, including yourself, then do what you like. If you have a passion to make a positive difference in the world, start by volunteering your time in a field that you're passionate about and work outwards from there. Get involved in your community, spread kindness, and give more than you take from this world. Find a reason to get yourself out of bed every day, no matter how small, and do something about it every day. Again, no matter how small. Don't waste your life counting down the days until the weekend or the holidays, because all you're doing is wishing away your precious time. Purpose and meaning are not just some grand magical concept that only people who hustle every minute of every day are able to achieve. It's something that can be found every single day in every single action. From the decision that you make to chat to a neighbour, to the smile that you give to a stranger in the street. From the choice to pay for the cup of coffee of the person behind you, to the gift of giving your time to listen to a friend in need. Every single act of kindness and compassion is an act of purpose and meaning, because that is what it means to be alive. To be alive, you have to live. And life is a series of choices you make to either put out negative energy or positive energy. When you choose to put kindness, compassion, and positivity out into the world, you not only attract more positivity back to you, but you also set off a chain of events that can lead you to discovering more purpose, more meaning in every single thing that you do. What it all boils down to is this. Finding your purpose doesn't just happen because you take a quiz or read a book. It's not an overnight thing, and a lot of people spend their whole lives figuring out what brings them a sense of purpose. I think we tend to overcomplicate these things because we've built this whole industry up around finding ourselves and living our best lives, which is a great notion. However, it's a journey, not a destination. Finding yourself isn't a race that you need to complete so that you can then tick that box, get your medal, and finally start living the perfect life that's been designed for you. It's about discovering little things about yourself every day and doing less of what makes you feel like crap and more of what makes you feel like you're doing something with your life every day. Even if you're positive that you're on the path now that makes you feel all warm and tingly inside, understand that it just might change because you are never the same person today that you were yesterday. I know I've used this quote before, but the Karen Kaiser Clark quote, "Life is change, growth is optional," always makes me stop and pause. And so I encourage you to focus on what you can do each day to feel more excited about life. Even that 5-minute chat with a total stranger can be enough to set you on a path that leads to greater purpose and greater life satisfaction. So that's about it for our chat about purpose and meaning. To wrap up this episode, here are a few points to consider. Number 1, you are in control of your destiny. The choices you make, the words you speak, the things that you do or don't do, these all shape your future. Number 2, if you're looking for a greater sense of purpose and meaning in your life, start by exploring what life means to you and look at the things in your life now that you enjoy and focus on doing more of those. And number 3, you can chase big ticket things to achieve a greater sense of purpose. But there is just as much meaning and joy to be found in small day-to-day actions. You don't need to be Gandhi or Confucius to make a difference in the world. As always, I'm going to close out with a quote that I'd like to encourage you to reflect on and consider what it means for you. This week's quote is from American writer Leo Roston, and it is, "The purpose of life is to matter, to count, to stand for something, to have it make some difference that we lived at all." Let me repeat that. The purpose of life is to matter, to count, to stand for something, to have it make some difference that we lived at all. Alright, so, to summarize. Finding purpose isn't just a case of working out what your destiny is, because the future is not written, it's shaped by your actions. You can do and be anything that you want, and you can have 1,000 different purposes in life. It doesn't matter if what you do is big or small, worldwide or local. Purpose and meaning is about making your life mean something. Whether that's to one person or to 1,000,000 is irrelevant. Make choices that nurture your dreams and your passions. And if it doesn't harm anyone, then do whatever makes you feel fulfilled. And remember that you don't have to settle for just one thing. Your purpose is to live. So get out there and start living more. Thanks for listening to this episode. I hope it gave you some useful, practical advice on the subject of purpose and mental health. If you happen to be looking for a coach, I offer coaching services to clients anywhere in the world via video conference. Have a look at the coaching section of the website at letstalkaboutmentalhealth.com.au. If you enjoyed this episode, please tell someone that you know about it, because word of mouth is a great way to help new people find the show. Or leave a 5-star review on your preferred podcast platform. Next week's episode will be opinions. I'll be talking about how our opinions, both our own and other people's opinions, can impact on our mental health, and how you can make choices that have a positive impact on your well-being and other people's well-being. I hope you'll join me for that episode, which will be released on Monday morning, Australian time. On Friday, I'll be sending out the next issue of the Mental Health Talk newsletter, which is a weekly roundup of articles and resources that are focused on good mental health and well-being. You can find that and past episodes of Let's Talk About Mental Health at the website, which is letstalkaboutmentalhealth.com.au. That's letstalkaboutmentalhealth.com.au. And you can also sign up there to have new posts delivered to your inbox. You can also find Let's Talk About Mental Health on social media. I post extra content daily on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest at LTAMHofficial. That's LTAMHofficial. Have an absolutely fantastic week. Thank you for listening. Look after yourself. And as always, make a conscious effort to put kindness out into the world, because what you put out comes back to you. Take care and talk to you next time.